All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the February 2nd, 2023 meeting for the Des Moines Area Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Technical Committee. And thank you, Tracy. I will call this meeting to order. First item, vote on approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion for approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda, Huesman.
Second, Caster.
Thank you. Okay, and again, we are in a virtual meeting, so we're not going to have everyone turn on their mic and say aye. So we're just going to ask if there's anyone, if there's any questions, and then if there's anyone opposed. Are there any questions or comments on the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Is anyone opposed? Okay, motion is approved. Item 3 is approval of the meeting minutes. Thank you, Tracy, for sending those out. Do I have a motion and a second for the approval of the meeting minutes on January 5th?
So moved, May.
Thank you, John.
Second, Caster.
Thank you so much. All right, are there any questions on the minutes or comments, please? Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, consider the minutes approved. Thank you. Item 4 is a presentation with the Iowa DOT, What Drives You? Driver Safety Campaign. Z, can I turn that over to you, please?
Yep, thank you. Very briefly, the Iowa DOT has this new What Drives You Driver Safety Campaign being launched. And so Tracy Bramble from the Iowa DOT will come give us a bit more information about this. Tracy?
Thanks, Z. If you could move the next slide, maybe. There we go. So What Drives You is our new traffic safety campaign, like Z said. It is replacing the Zero Fatalities campaign. And the reason we've done that switch is last year we met with a bunch of focus groups, and the zero fatality, the zero number wasn't really resonating with people. It wasn't driving them to change their behaviors. So we did a little deeper dive to ask them what actually would make them be safer behind the wheel. And the more they thought about it, the more they thought, whatever's waiting for me at the end of that trip is what's going to make me think about driving safer. So this campaign is all about what drives you to be safe, what is waiting for you at the end of the line. If you could advance the next slide, please. So this is the website. It's whatdrivesyouiowa.org. And we are still hitting the same 4 behaviors that we hit with Zero Fatalities. We're just doing it in a little bit different way. We're talking more about why you should drive safely and not just the nuts and bolts. So if you would scroll down just one more. So the driving behaviors, first of all, is buckle up. So we're encouraging everyone to buckle up every seat, every trip, just like we always have. And then if you scroll down again, slow down and drive chill. So that's aggressive driving. Again, we had an uptick in high speed issues last year, as we have had since the beginning of the pandemic. And so we're hitting that again. And then the next one, please. Drive sober has always been an issue and will continue to be something that we'll address as to why you should find a sober ride or stay put where you are if you've been drinking. And then the last behavior is that driver attention. Put your phone down, eliminate as many distractions as you can. And that doesn't mean shoot your kids because they're distracting you, but it does mean to try and reduce as many distractions as possible. So that is a new campaign. You'll be seeing it if you haven't already seen it on TV. We're running some commercials on TV. We're running some spots on the radio. We're running a lot of digital. We also have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube channel that we would encourage everybody to go out and like and follow, and then you can absolutely share. And we would really beg you to share the information that's out on social media on your own social media. At some point, we will also be going out for partnerships with this program. We're not quite to that stage yet. Right now, we're just launching. We launched about a month ago. And so once we get the partnership piece up and running, we'll be back with more information. But that was all I had. Is there any questions?
Thank you,
Oh,
Tracy.
sorry, I missed one. Sorry, I forgot about this. So as part of this program, Roadside Chat is our Friday messages that you'll see up on the DMS boards. And we do encourage public participation in that. And this is the Roadside Chat section of the website, whatdrivesyouiowa.org. So if you go out there, you can put in your own messages. And then when you submit them, they come as an email to me and Willie Sorensen. And then we wade through them. And if we use your nugget or your message or a nugget of your message, we will give you credit on that on our blog. So, thanks. Sorry, missed that one.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Tracy, you'd mentioned you'd seen an increase in uptick in high-speed issues. Is there, I apologize, I've not been to the new website, but is there data that shows that or
that is something that we've been getting from Iowa State Patrol. There is a data section on the website. I don't know if that's something that you guys can navigate to or what not, but whatdrivesyouiowa.org, there's a section on it called By the Numbers. And they are 2022 numbers because we don't obviously have 2023 numbers yet, but those do show fatality statistic by type, by demographic, by driving condition, by month, by holiday, but it doesn't necessarily hit that high speed stuff. That's something that I've been working with Iowa State Patrol on.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Are there any questions for Tracy?
Okay. Again, I would just encourage you to go out to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever your favorite social media channel is, and like and follow and share off of What Drives You Iowa.
Excellent.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next, that'll take us to item 5, a report and a vote, election of the calendar year 2023 officers. And Dylan, can I turn that over to you, please?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So this year, the chair, Steve Neighbor, nominated Mike Ludwig, Dave Boarding, and Joan Dostart to the nominating committee. That nominating committee exchanged some communication and recommended going forward with the same officers that we have now, which is Steve Neighbor for chair and Luis Montoya for vice chair for another year. If Mike, David, or John want to comment on that at all, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, this is the nomination for this year's officers. And I would add that the committee is free to nominate anybody else from the floor as well, if they would choose to.
This is John. I'd just say that we're happy with the current slate of officers and would approve them moving forward for another year. With that, I'll make the motion for approval.
Second, Davis.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you both, Johns. Is there any questions or comments? Okay, and we have a motion and second. Is there anyone opposed to that motion? Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Mike, Dave, and John. Thanks so much. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item 6. That is a report and a vote on the federal fiscal year 2023-2026 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment. Zach, are you able to talk to this?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
The City of Des Moines has requested an amendment to the 2023-2026 TIP. It's for their Walnut Street Bridge projects, which we have awarded $3.4 million in STBG funding to. This amendment request doesn't affect the funding that we've awarded through the STBG program. However, they are requesting to increase the total cost on the project from $11 million to $21 million. and move the project into federal fiscal year 2024. So that's the change to the project. We'll move this through the committees so that the city can, so the city can move their project forward after the policy committee meeting this month. It's before you for a vote. If you have any questions about the project, I'd be happy to take it. Otherwise, we're just looking for approval on this TIP amendment.
Thank you, Zach. Is there a motion and a second for this amendment, please?
Motion Davis to approve.
Second Miller, Ankeny.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Mark. All right. Any questions? Any questions or comments on this motion item? Okay, is there anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you. That brings us to item 7, a report and a vote. It's our MPO appointment to the SUDAS Board of Directors. So is that one, Todd, are you available to talk on that one?
I got that one. Thank you. Yeah, so every so many years we have to reappoint our position on the SUDAS Board of Directors for the technical representative to serve on that board for the SUDAS Board of Directors. Mark Miller with the City of Ankeny has served on that in that role since August of 2016. His term is expiring, but he's offered to continue to serve in that capacity if the board would like to reappoint him. Or obviously the board could appoint someone else, but Mark's willing to continue to serve. So that's the nomination before you right now. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions for Todd? Okay, can I please get a motion and a second for Mark? Mark, thank you for serving on this board. Can I get a motion and a second to have Mark continue?
So moved, Rudy with Waukee.
Thank you, Rudy.
Second, Huesman.
Thank you, Chelsea. All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments? Is anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Mark, for serving, and thank you, Todd, for bringing it to us. All right, we have the next item. It is item number 8. It is a report and a vote. And it's the Iowa DOT 2019 to 2023 safety performance targets. Z, are you available to talk to that?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. So every year, the Federal Highway Administration's Highway Safety Improvement Program requires state DOTs and MPOs to report safety measures. MPOs can either adopt the state DOT statewide targets or develop their own. But in the past, we've been adopting the DOT's statewide safety performance targets. So last month, we brought these statewide measures and targets to you for your review. And now at this meeting, we bring these back to you again for your vote. There are no penalties for MPOs for not meeting or making progress towards these targets. So if you have any questions, I can take them at this time. Otherwise, staff recommends approval of the DOT safety targets.
Does anyone have any questions for Z? Okay, is there a motion and a second to for the MPO to adopt the DOT's safety statewide safety performance targets?
Motion to approve, Huesman.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Sturms, I'll second.
Thank you, Madeline. All right, there's a motion and a second. Is there any comments, questions? Okay, is anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you so much, Z. That brings us to item number 9, a report and a vote on the Iowa DOT 2022 to 2025 pavement and bridge performance targets. Z, you take that one again, please.
Yep, thanks. This is the next set of federally required performance measures and targets, but these are for statewide pavement and bridge condition. Unlike the safety targets, these are set on 2- and 4-year periods, unlike the safety targets, which are annual. MPOs can either adopt the DOT's targets or set their own regional ones, but in the past, we've just adopted the DOT's statewide targets. There are also no penalties for MPOs for not meeting or making progress towards these targets. If you have any questions on these, I can take them at this time. Otherwise, staff recommends approval.
Is there any questions for Z? Okay, is there a motion and a second, please?
Move to approve, Miller.
Thanks, Mark. We have a second.
I'll second Huesman.
Thank you, Chelsea. All right, it's been motioned and then seconded. Is there any questions or comments? Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you, Z. And then now we have a report and a vote on the Iowa DOT 2022 to 2025 system and freight performance targets. Z, got that one as well?
Yep, thank you. Last set of federal performance measures. These are for system and freight reliability. Again, these are also set on 2- and 4-year cycles, and MPOs can either adopt the state DOT statewide targets or set their own regional ones. But in the past, we have just adopted the Iowa DOT statewide targets. And again, there are also no penalties for MPOs for not meeting or making progress towards these targets. Staff recommends approval of the DOT statewide targets.
Thank you. Any questions for Z? Okay, is there a motion and a second, please?
Move to approve, Miller.
Thanks, Mark. Second, please.
Second, Dostart.
Thank you, John. All right, any questions or comments? We have a motion and a second on the table. Okay, hearing none. Is anyone opposed to the motion and second? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Z. All right, that brings us down to item 11. Report. This is just a report on federal fiscal year 2024 Unified Planning Work Program and Budget Development. Dylan, are you be able to take that one?
Yes, thank you.
so
So as we've discussed, I think starting last month, and that we do every year about this time, we start working on the work program budget for the next fiscal year. Our fiscal year runs July 1st through June 30th of the following year. So in the work program, we identify all the various activities that we're going to be doing over the next fiscal year. And this is supposed to be not only just what the MPO is doing, but also what all of the, basically all transportation activities, planning activities are going to be happening in the metro. So if I forget to mention it later, if your community is doing a planning study of some sort that results or that impacts transportation, please let us know so we can document it in the work program, even though it might not have any MPO dollars or MPO staff or anything working on it. The DOT still likes to see that. But in addition to just identifying the work activities, we identify how those activities are meeting federal MPO requirements for those MPO activities. We have to have a draft in by April 1st, and then there's a final version due to the DOT by June 1st. If you go to the next page, the MPO has certain requirements that we're expected to meet by virtue of being an MPO. That includes doing the work program, the long-range plan, the TIP, the public participation plan, allocating federal funds, and just maintaining the MPO as an organization. So we make sure that we identify how we're doing all of this in the work program, but we also include other projects, studies, reports, data analysis, and so forth that support these other activities too. So that's what you'll see in the work program as we get that developed, is a lot of different projects, but they all tie back into these main core requirements for the MPO. If you go to the next slide, DOT usually releases planning emphasis areas. We haven't seen these yet for 2023, so perhaps they're not doing that anymore. But the 2022 emphasis areas are up there on the screen. This is another thing that we just make sure that we address in our work program and show how we're meeting these emphasis areas. So we'll continue to monitor this and update as necessary. And then on the following page, a call that we made last month was to provide projects to us, from the communities. If there's things that you want to see us doing as an MPO to support the region in terms of transportation, to let us know what those are. We have identified a few things so far, and this is still a work in progress. For the MPO, we know that we have to complete our long-range transportation plan by fall of 2024. So there's going to be, we've started working internally on this already, but there's going to be more public participation coming up, a lot of more data analysis and so forth happening in fiscal year 24. So that's going to be a big emphasis area and a notable project. The goods movement study is something that we actually included in this current fiscal year. We haven't got to that yet, and we hopefully will. We have started that a little bit internally, but the more heavier lift part of that might not happen until FY24. So we'll include that in there. That is something that the city of Des Moines reached out to us and said they want to make sure that that's included if we don't get to it this year. So if we don't get it to it this year yet, we'll make sure to include that in the 2024. And I apologize, up on the screen there, it should say on that first bullet 2024, not 23. And then the other notable project, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is a Vision Zero action plan that we'll be accomplishing as well. There'll be other projects. Like obviously we'll have to continue doing the TIP. There'll be some other climate and air quality related work that we'll be doing. So this list will be continued to flesh out. But if there's anything from the communities that you want to make sure that we're doing that's included in that work program, please let us know as soon as you can as we start to develop the drafts. Next month, we'll come forward with a draft full document for you that includes the financial side of things, but also the planning related work that we'll be doing. That'll get sent to the DOT for their review and comment. And then, like I said, we'll come back and in May, we'll provide another round of opportunity for you to vote on the final version that will be then, that will be the final version that's sent on to the feds. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please let us know. Otherwise, this is what we have for you today.
Thank you, Dylan. Are there any questions for Dylan? So Dylan, again, you reiterated, if a community is doing a planning study, please get that information to you as soon as possible, obviously, because looks like we got a due date.
They always like to see that. It's probably never perfect, but we do like to catalog as many of those as possible in the work program.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much for reporting that, Dylan. All right. That brings us to item 13. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Item 12. It's a report on the federal fiscal year 2024 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program development. Zach, are you able to speak on this one?
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to give you an update on where we're at with the development of the next TIP. Staff is just kicking off that development. This TIP will cover all of the projects, the federally funded projects that are going to be programmed for the next 4 years. We'll be sending out a TIP report here probably in the next week or two, and we'll be requesting that you update your projects in there. The main things to look out for is if your project is currently in the 2023 TIP, but is not going to be authorized prior to September 30th, we'll need to roll that project over into federal fiscal year 24. Also, just look at each of the projects we send in the TIP report and make sure that the project description is accurate, the funding is accurate. The more work we can do on the front end during the TIP development, the less likely it is that we'll have to do TIP amendments later in the year. So just want to let you know that we've started this process and to be on the lookout for those TIP reports that we'll be sending out. I imagine we'll probably have those due back probably sometime in the middle of March or so. But that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions. Again, just want to make you aware that we're starting this process.
Thank you, Zach. Are there any questions for Zach? Okay, thank you so much, Zach. Everyone be on the lookout for emails from Zach or other MPO staff with the TIP reports. So thank you. All right, we got item 13, a report on upcoming events. Gunnar, are you able to talk to that one?
Gladly, Steve. Good morning, everyone. There were a list of events and conferences that were included in your agenda packet. I won't go over all those here and now, but we do want to point out that the quarterly meeting of the Greater Des Moines Council of WMAs is coming up this month and is notable because it will have an annual review of activities that occurred there. All the links and details will be included in a follow-up email after this meeting as well. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, any questions for Gunnar? Okay, thank you, Gunnar. All right, item 14, any other non-action items of interest to the committee?
We have one, Steve.
Oh, one, yep, okay. Yep, thank
An
you, Zach.
update on the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. I just
Mhm.
wanted to take a moment to announce to everybody that we did receive funding for this. The MPO was awarded $1 million for this to create a comprehensive safety action plan. I will remind you that in our talks with the USDOT, they did request us to do a joint application with SERPA. So $800,000 of the 1 million is available to the MPO, and then 200,000 will be made available to SERPA's member cities for their grant application. The next steps that we're looking at is that we'll be finalizing and distributing a request for proposals out for consultant services for this plan. We'll also need to approve a funding agreement with the USDOT. We're not quite sure yet how long that process is going to take. They did kind of give us a heads up that just because of the number of grants that were awarded, I believe there were 510 awards made under this program, that it might take some time to finalize all those grant agreements. So we'll let you know kind of how long that process is going to take as we get more information from the USDOT. Once RFP goes out, obviously we'll be selecting a consultant and then entering into a contract for services. We'll be putting together a selection committee to select that consultant. And then finally, we'll need to amend the fiscal year 2023 Unified Work Program and budget to include the funding. The only other thing I would mention is that although this is a joint agreement with the USDOT, we will be doing separate RFP processes for the MPO and SERPA. So there will be two separate plans, but the USDOT wanted us to do a joint funding agreement just to kind of streamline the administrative side of the grant. So again, just excited to announce that we received that funding. Putting this plan together is going to give the whole region access to a lot of future funding as soon as we get it finished. And so we think it's a really good thing for the region to be able to have access to that additional funding. I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Excellent. Any questions for Zach? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, MPO team. That's excellent news. I think, as we discussed in the past, completing that safety plan, one, it's obviously much needed, and two, it'll open doors for implementation grants in the future for us. So it's please keep an eye on and engage with that. It's gonna be a great plan. So, all right. Hearing, let's see, next item. Any other non-action items of interest to the committee? Okay, hearing none, that brings us to item 15. Our next meeting date is March 2nd, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. So that brings us to item 16. We'll consider this the February 2nd meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you so much.